All right, guys, welcome back here to Kings of the Storm 5. I'm Solid Jake,
And I'm Kubi.
and as you can see, the screen had changed to
It,
say
it
that
did
we're
change a little bit, huh?
yeah we're going into Game 3.
Yeah. So we weren't actually updated on terms of what the status of the first round of the losers bracket was, and it turns out there is a Game 3 that we are waiting on. So instead of waiting for these guys to play it out, we're going to hop into Game 3 of this series. It is tied up 1-1 between Evil Geniuses and Murlocs Inc. here. So I have no idea what strategies they've employed earlier on in this set. I don't even know what maps they played on. Everything it's news to us going forward. So. All right, I gotta figure out. I gotta set this lobby up real quick. So hang with us, guys, for just a second.
Going to be Dragonshire. We know that. That's some information we can convey. Dragonshire will be, again. This is do or die. This is the losers bracket of the tournament, and it's Game 3. So this match will decide who moves on to round 2, and the winner of this will be facing Barrel Boys. Another update that we do have for you is that C9 Maelstrom lost 2-0 to C9 Vortex, and then when they went to the losers bracket, they forfeited out of the tournament. So Maelstrom's gone.
They didn't give any reason as to why. They just have opted to forfeit out of the losers bracket.
It seemed abrupt, and I mean, maybe somebody had an emergency. We don't know. We're not gonna speculate too hard on that.
That is their right, obviously, to forfeit out if they so choose. I mean, it's unfortunate because there's a losers bracket. There's absolutely the possibility of coming back. So hopefully it's not a tilt issue.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're upset, because you can still try to rally the troops and come back in the losers bracket. That's why it's there. But,
exactly.
Again, we don't know. They didn't give any particular reason as to why they forfeited out. So
they just dipped. But that means that
Glorious will advance further into the losers bracket. So the situation we're looking at here is we are going to cast game number 3 here between Murlocs Inc. and Evil Geniuses, and then we're going to move on to the next series immediately, which is that Barrel Boys? Yes, Barrel Boys versus the winner of this game here.
It'll be us, yep.
And then the winner of that set is going to play against Glorious in the losers semifinals, I think.
So at that point, the losers semifinals will be on Zoya's stream, and we will transition up to the winners bracket semifinal, or the winners finals, I guess, technically.
Yeah, winners finals, and that will be between Temple Storm and C9 Vortex.
Yes.
So that's the bracket situation that we're looking at here.
That's what's on the menu.
Yeah, some craziness has happened since we last talked to you guys.
Yeah. So the break, hopefully you guys had some tasty food during that break. Maybe you made some nachos. Maybe you made some popcorn.
Maybe you ate some baked beans out of a can.
You know, some people might do that too.
Yeah, and it's a possibility. I don't know anyone personally that has eaten baked beans out of cans.
It's a weird
vegetarian
thing to do,
baked beans.
So we're gonna go into the draft here, and we've got a ban on Stitches coming out of Murlocs Inc.
Yes, ban on Stitches. Yep. No surprise there. Now Zeratul.
Okay. They don't like.
Who was it? Was it someone that was playing Zeratul on Murlocs Inc. that we were watching earlier? Was it? No. Okay. All right. That wasn't in the series that we casted originally. They didn't even play. No, they didn't play Zeratul in the first set that we casted against them. So I thought maybe it was, sort of a specialized ban against someone on their team. They just wanted to. Hey, we don't feel like dealing with that. Again, guys, you're sort of in the same boat we are. We don't actually know how those first 2 games went. Maybe some crazy strategies happen. We don't know. So we're learning with you guys as we go forward here.
Maybe someday we'll have the power to join the game that's in the middle of it, and we'll just hop into games and cast them just like, bam, we don't know what's happened so far, but we're going to hop in. That'll be really fun if that's ever a thing here in Heroes of the Storm, but as it stands, not the case. I'm going to give a special shout-out right now to Evergreen Trail for supporting us. He's actually, he gave us a big donation last night. We happened to miss it here because we were so focused on the actual tournament. So shout out to you, Evergreen, for your support here of just competitive heroes in general, because I know you give a lot of support. But we see the first pick coming out of Murlocs Inc. is going to be Kerrigan in the follow-up.
Is that? No. Oh, okay. Ban. Yeah, you're right.
First pick Kerrigan. The follow-up is Vala Tassadar here for Evil Geniuses.
The EG Tassadar. They love it.
EG Tassadar.
I only say that because that was a very common first pick for them at the BlizzCon tournament that happened many months ago. So it's kind of a joke, obviously, because Tassadar's gone through quite a bit of changes, and everyone obviously values Tassadar very highly because of the versatility that he can bring to the table. And we see Vala with that. Once again, it's in the 2-3 slot. Vala never gets picked by herself, but she's always very highly picked in that sense. So starting off with Kerrigan, and Arthas is still on the table.
Yeah, it seems likely that they would grab Arthas, especially to pair with the Kerrigan. But, I mean, honestly, we say that, but it's not always the case here.
Yeah. So Arthas damage is very likely. And who would you like to see now, considering that we are on Dragonshire? It could be Hammer. So wait, Tychus is still around.
Lord Tycho is still on the menu.
All right,
here.
then it's very likely going to be Arthas Tychus.
I would be shocked if we don't see that. Honestly, I mean, Arthas Tychus Kerrigan. That's a heck of a start to a draft here. Valitassar, by no means poor and still very flexible, but man, those 3 heroes are powerhouses.
Sure.
But it's also, you're giving up Nazebo if you grab Arthas Tychus Kerrigan.
That's true, yeah. So, yeah, Nazebo would still be a very, very strong pickup. But you do have the Kerrigan to kind of deal with Ravenous. I think you'd still need to pick up something else to deal with it, whether that be, obviously Stitches is off the table, but, it could be Tyrael. There's like a whole bunch of options that they could go for. So we will have to wait and see.
Yeah, they're debating it right now here. Probably that exact scenario. Do we want to grab Arthas Tychus, or do we want to grab Nazebo with one of them? We see Equinox is actually hovering over Uther, and they're going with Tyrael Uther, just shaming us, just saying, look, we actually don't care about those heroes. We want these. We want Uther, and we want Tyrael. Very cool.
Yeah, it seems as though teams are starting to... Arthas is very good. He's a very stable hero, offers a lot in team fights, but he doesn't really have the initiation that some teams might be looking for in particular compositions. Tyrael absolutely offers that with his judgment. It's a very, very nice ability. It really just gets in there, messes up the rest of the team, puts that stun down, and it allows the other members of the team to come in and start, wreaking their havoc. But so they've opted to go for Tyrael here. Now, I think this pretty much gives EG Arthas. ZP's he's known for Liberidin play too.
Yeah, no, his Meridian's very strong, and so is Arthas. But still, you're right. They're effectively, it seems very likely they'll give them up. Now, do they pick up Tychus, Tassadar, Vala? Like that's scary. Like the fact that it's on the table, like that's very scary. But again, you can't disregard Nazebo. You can't disregard Arthas. They haven't picked up a support or a tank.
They can't. I don't think they're going to go for Nazebo. Just because of the Tyrael Uther Kerrigan.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think at this point they have enough to deal with to Ravenous. And it's possible that they pick these up, Murlocs Inc. did, just so that they can secure Nazebo later on in their draft. I would imagine we're probably going to see a tank, either Arthas or Murden, what they're comfortable with, and then who am I thinking they're going to grab? Jeez. Already blanking on this one. Arthas and
Tychus?
Tychus, yes. Jeez, I was like, it's one of the heroes that's like top that should have been picked already. Who is this guy?
It seems likely, but we called that for the other side, and you know what? Didn't even happen here.
Yeah, that's true.
But they're just such strong heroes. It's very strange to see them not picked up at this point. I'm definitely very pleased to see both Uther and Tyrael picked up here, because the meta is always shifting, and people actually going for that Tyrael might be saying, look, they might be wanting to grab Falstad later in the draft here. Of course, the Hinterland and Blast paired with the Judgment of Tyrael is a very, very strong pair. When you're looking at heroes like Vala, I mean, you can just pick her out and blow her up. Tyrael, for that burst healing, also makes it so they don't have that available. And it's looking like, they're probably going to have Brightwing on the other side here for EG.
Yeah. So let's try to read into a little bit more of this Zeratul ban. What do you think is going on with that? It's an odd ban.
Well, like you said, we didn't see the first 2 games, and without being able to really read into it, I mean, I just bet you there were big plays made. Like I don't know what else could prompt it, because it's not a common ban, and it's just they know something that we don't know right now in terms of why they're scared of that Zeratul, because it could be a throwaway. I mean, sometimes we've seen teams do throwaway bans because they want to try to trick their opponents into grabbing something else, but maybe that's why we're seeing such a strange draft right now. And there's Tychus Brightwing. So we do see Tychus picked up. Brightwing is going to be the healer, so that's that's pretty smart stuff. Of course, they want to have that cleanse. Of course, Uther and Brightwing, the only 2 heroes in the game that do have cleanse available.
Yeah. Okay, so they've got their warrior situation sorted out. I think they're going to probably pick up 2 damage here. They also have the option to sort of lock out Arthas if they want to. I don't foresee them doing that, so I'm guessing it's going to be Hammer and Falstad, maybe, just for the mobility. That's a possibility.
Yeah, of course.
I think Hammer is a very strong possibility.
So much damage.
Yeah,
I mean,
and the ability to really zone out one of the shrines, either top or bottom, is nothing to scoff at, and we see it picked up very often on this map. So
Well, yeah.
But I mean, hey, we've been theory crafting damage, and we see Jaina picked up, so anything's game at this point, right?
Well, Jaina has a lot of burst, and I actually like that pickup. I mean, she was topping the charts, but it still wasn't enough to get through that double support out of Tempo Storm. I mean, right here we have a lot of options on the table. Of course, Hammer is very, very strong. She's been picking up a lot of steam lately. She's not a steam tank, she's a siege tank, but she is very strong on Dragonshire. The look of disgust on Kubi's face is actually something to be marveled at. And they're thinking hard about this right now.
All right, okay, so they have... well, Nazebo is also something that they could grab, too. Kind of ruled him out just because we see the material and you're like, all right, but they can still obviously pick him up.
I like the idea of Murlocs grabbing Zebo.
Yeah, that's
but the flip side, but not EG.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
so they could go Nazebo Hammer.
Yeah, and that would be, I mean,
that's the mines are gonna offer a little bit more protection for anyone trying to get to him. Now, if they do pick up Nazebo, I would fully expect EG to immediately respond with a Muradin pick for their tank. CPs is very comfortable on Muradin. We've seen him play him in the past very often, and he knows how to deal with Nazebo. So if we see that Nazebo, I would expect that to be the counterplay from EG.
Well, they're thinking real hard. It is Murlocs Inc. to pick up their last two heroes to round out their roster. We're looking at Uther, Kerrigan, and Tyrael right now, so they do have that tank. Double tank is a viable thing here. Of course, once you get cast aside, you get the Primal Grasp and the Sun from Kerrigan. And then, I mean, all three of those heroes have a lot of control on the battlefield. So right now, they're looking for just a lot of damage thrown there, and they're going to go with Falstad and Tyrande. And wow. That's very cool. Kubi, what do you think about this?
I mean, we always forget about the Tyrande because it's it's Atlanta, and we've talked about this before, but we do see he's on Kerrigan actually, so we're not too sure what he's. I assume that he's going to be on Tyrande, so.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of lockdown, of course. I mean, Fallside likely going to go for that Hinterland Blast. We have the Lunar Flare available here out of Tyrande. Hunter's Mark, very strong. We've seen that Kerrigan Tyrande be utterly terrifying in the past. And they opt to grab Arthas for their final hero. No Muradin here, but Arthas is very strong. Arthas, Tychus, Brightwing, Vala, and Tassadar. Very high tier hero list. That's like, that's kind of cream of the crop right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just can they, there's not so much. I'm not gonna say lack of synergy between them. They're all just really good picks. So yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out. Should be an interesting game. Of course, yeah, like we mentioned before, we don't know what has happened in the previous games here, but I guess we'll find out. What's going on in game number 3 here?
This is, in fact, game 3. Like you said, Dragonshire is our map, and the teams are Evil Geniuses versus Murlocs Inc. I realized that I had set up the logos for different teams, so hashtag production. So quick.
Good.
Here we go. Kubi.
Dragonshire. No Hammer. I don't know how I feel about that.
Are you upset?
Yeah, I'm upset. Very upset.
Why? Do you love the Hammer?
I love Hammer, of course. Hammer's the best.
All right, guys. I'm actually...
Yeah, I'll get into
lack of observing. Apologies for that. Let me just pull up
introducing these teams real quick while Jake's pulling that up for you guys. Here on Murlocs Inc. on the blue side, we have Clown on Falstad. Caterpillar is going to be playing Tyrael. Atlanta on Kerrigan. Equinox on Uther. And Spanker is going to be playing Tyrande.
10 seconds.
And on the other half of the map, oh yes, Overlay Life. Here we go. We can see that Evil Genius is going to be having Faye playing as Vala. Tassadar will be played by LZ Gamer. Idra on Tychus. Kwai Rice playing as the support of Brightwing. And ZP's the tank on Arthas. 1-1 is the score. Dragonshire is the map.
Yes.
And there is a lot of lockdown available for our team of Murlocs Inc. But on the flip side, just this top tier heroes, like just all of these heroes, so very sought out for.
You asked anyone 2 months ago if they wanted to grab this team, and they would tell you, no way that will ever happen. No way.
It's true.
Times are changing, I suppose. And yeah, we're seeing some new heroes rise up into the viability here, things that you wouldn't have guessed to see, you know, a month and a half back. Tyrael, Tyrande, so it's exciting to see this stuff.
So you see Murlocs think they clean up that middle lane, then they immediately rotate forward down to the bottom lane to put this constant aggression on here. If they can lose even, if they can force like the loss of experience on even one minion, like it just adds up throughout time.
Right, yeah, and we're going to have to see what the rotation here is on Murlocs Inc. It looks as though they're, I mean, they have the lockdown, especially with the Tyrande Kerrigan duo roaming around, so that's going to be scary. It's something that EG needs to pay attention to make sure that they have pretty good eyes on what's going on between the rotations of those lanes. You can see that they're doing a nice job backing up, and Kawhi Rice holding down this bottom lane. And it's also interesting to note that we don't have the 1-1-3 lane configuration that we normally see out of most teams. A lot of teams like to heavily stack the bottom lane just to make sure that they keep control over those mercenary camps that are oh so important, the siege giants in the bottom lanes. But it looks as though EG is opting to have 2 members up top, and you know it's working out for them. They have control of that top shrine.
Yeah, they have that top shrine right now. Of course, that Arthas Tychus is going to be a constant threat for Tyrael. So Tyrael is pretty much just in the top lane to soak and just kind of defend that lane the best he can. But they're going to be able to put on a decent amount of pressure. We can see that happening right now. They're going towards the towers, and they're almost out of ammo.
Yeah, they're putting a good amount of aggression there. We still see those rotations. Still no kills there. But they aren't falling behind in experience, so that's really the important thing, to making sure to get those rotations that are timed well between those the creep waves going through the mid and bottom lanes.
And look at this, they're actually going to be bribing. They already, I mean, with bribe, rotating between 2 lanes, getting the full soak on all those minions.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. That's
bribe.
a very, very fast bribe.
Yeah.
Only possible because of that rotation. That's actually a really cool play. Kudos to Murlocs Inc. there for devising that strategy. Not something that I had thought about before, and I'm sure EG was not expecting that at all. I wouldn't have been. And
it's super safe. You got that 4 that's going between the 2 lanes constantly. You can grab those, you know, giants with 0 risk, really, because they're scared of you more than you're scared of them.
Yeah.
So right now, yeah, I mean, they have that slight edge on the experience grabbing those giants. They're going to hit level 6 first, and we can look at the level 4 talents right here.
Yes, absolutely. So at least for Murlocs Inc., we do see that Tyrael is going for that full smite build, and they are putting quite a bit of pressure on this bottom lane here. They are going to kill both towers. You see that final shot from Tyrande going in there, and that's going to give them that slight bit of EXP lead. They should have that leg up getting to level 7. Not that it will probably make a difference in terms of timing attacks, but always a nice thing to have. You want to get that race to level 10. You want to get there before the other team, and that's really where you're going to see those timing attacks.
And actually, notice when Falstad flies up, they immediately back up. They say, we don't know what kind of rotation is coming here,
yeah.
And they just back that up. They want to make sure they're safe, because when you see a Falstad, that could just mean aggression. Usually a Falstad's not going to be too cheeky, and you know, they're just making sure they play safe. They don't want to lose anyone yet. Pretty passive, safe play by both teams, and EG is wary of the just lockdown and combo ability available here out of Murlocs Inc.
Yeah, and we do have Cleanse picked up for both teams. That's Uther and Brightwing. Those that talent there is only available to those 2 heroes, and a lot of just tons of battle momentum. We have battle momentum of Kerrigan, Tyrael, Tyrande, Avala. It's everyone wants that cooldown reduction on those heroics just to make sure that they can get that edge to try to force out more team fights. And we have a very quick Dragon Knight going to the EG here.
That was I just gotta talk about that entire initiation. Kerrigan went in, and Kawhi Rice just very calmly went and he just made sure he dodged. He threw the poly out. And during all of that, their focus was on trying to get a kill, but LZ Gamer sneakily grabbed the Dragon Knight. Very well done.
They are blowing this thing up really fast,
wow.
And if they only manage to get that 1 tower out of it, that's not very good. They are pushing a lot of pressure down bottom lane, so perhaps they've had a little bit better luck down on that front. But not really. Taking the 2 towers for that 1 Dragon Knight, I think that they probably could have sent a couple heroes up to mid just to try to provide it a little bit of peel and resistance so that they couldn't burn it down so quickly.
But EG does have a slight lead here in the experience, and we can see structurally they're doing a good job here. The Hedwig, almost getting some packages delivered here.
Yeah, really passive game so far. No kills yet, going just about 5 minutes into the game, and especially considering that the heavy rotation lineup that Murlocs Inc. is running. Not to say that they're not doing well, but I think they would have preferred to at least see a couple kills here,
right?
Especially considering the experience disadvantage that they have.
0 kills on the board. We see a Bruiser Camp was picked up by Evil Geniuses, and Murlocs Inc. is trying to grab this bottom one here. It looks like we're going to be safe doing that. Damage on the board. I mean, top hero damage coming out of Tyrael on the side of Murlocs Inc. because no real ganks have happened, and top hero damage on the side of EG is going to be Vala.
Yeah, we do have those heroics popping up for both teams now. For EG, we have Strafe, Odin, Blink Heal, Army of the Dead, and I imagine that we're going to see Archon coming out of Tassadar, that is LZ Gamer playing him. But we have Ultralisk. So that's interesting. That's something that we're used to seeing too much.
Pretty uncommon now.
Yeah.
Of course, in the new patch, you can control the Ultralisk target,
Yes.
which makes it much more viable than before when we would never see it. And there is the Archon picked up as the final heroic here for EG.
Yes. Yeah, we also have Hinterland's Blast, Judgment, Divine Storm, and Starfall, all talents that we would absolutely expect to see out of those heroes. So should be cool to see what kind of play Ultralisk has in those fights. I imagine that Kerrigan will take a bit more of a passive role, go in, land that combo, rewind, get the stuns in the proper place, and then all the while Ultralisk is doing work body, big body in there, taking for the rest of the team alongside Tyrael as well. So I can understand it, considering that Tyrael isn't the highest amount of health pool that you would expect out of a warrior.
Yeah, very true. Now, EG, they're here to cap this bottom shrine, and they actually have Kawhi in the top lane, capping that top shrine, but Kawhi realizes he is under a lot of aggression. He's just pixie dusting himself back behind his wall to safety.
Yeah, smart play there, just recognizing the situation. And still no kills, 6.5 minutes into this game. Both teams are just playing very, very safe, making sure that they're not overextending in any of these situations.
Yeah, EG does have that slight lead. They're holding on to it. I mean, they've got these Merc camps pushing. They have that top Merc camp pressure. This bottom four is actually taking a lot of damage, and we have all 5 members of EG here ready to take it out.
Nice dodge there from Equinox there. It looks as though EG is definitely posturing to take a fight here, whether they just want to try to apply some pressure to that bottom lane, but they're actually backing up now.
Yeah, they're backing up. We see Murlocs going in. They want to take control of this bottom shrine. A nice Howling Blast goes down. Primal Grass does not actually catch anything. And we have the Arcane Flare going in there for the zoning. Everyone has their heroics available. We see a few going down. Starfall is going to be doing a lot of damage. Equinox backing up. Judgment onto Idra. Idra pops his Odin. The Odin is actually just melting away. Strafe did a good chunk of work, but Idra turns around with just a sliver of life left, and they managed to pick up 2 kills here. There's a Ghost Uther still alive, but how much is it going to help against the 5 members of Evil Geniuses?
Odin got a lot of work done. They pretty much came to him. They did do a lot of damage to burst him down pretty fast, but I mean, he was pretty much down to half HP, but they overextended a little bit too much trying to blow up the Odin as fast as possible, and it was a situation where they probably should have rotated the fight down onto the Tribute and kill the people that were contesting that area. So slight bit of misplay, cost them a couple kills, but still absolutely in it. We do see that talent tier advantage is going to EG. We'll see some skills like Frost Shot picked up. That's extra slow during the fight. Double Relentless on Tychus and Arthas. The rewind, of course, for Brightwing. And Tassadar, I imagine, is going to either go with Prescience or Shrink Ray. Yeah, and he goes for Prescience.
Now, right now, Murloc, I think, has kind of been hiding their presence to make sure that they're just kind of like not showing where they are, so that EG is afraid to take this top shrine. This allowed Murloc to get back up, and that's kind of just like a weird, cheeky thing to do, like just kind of hide, not show yourself.
Yeah.
But EG figures it out, but by the time that happens, Murloc is safe to take that bottom lane to a Dragonite has been prevented.
Yeah, and it's possible that in the previous games of this series that they had been very aggressive in terms of the rotation, even when they're behind, if they lose a member or two. And they're like, okay, we need to come back. We're going to take a really aggressive, risky play. So it's possible that EG has learned from this, and they're just taking things very carefully. Still only 2 kills up to this point in the game, 9 minutes in. So very, very passive game between these two teams.
Yeah, we see all 5 members of EG here in the bottom, and it's just the 3 of Murlocs, so they cannot contest this, but they will, in fact, be taking this top shrine to make sure the Dragonite, again, is just kind of ring around the rosy right now, kind of, what's that game? Going with the chairs.
That would be musical chairs.
That's the game. That's the game. Never played that as a kid.
No?
No.
The prey of childhood right there.
Well, we see a nice Lunar Flare going down, and the aggression goes in, but ZPT does a nice job dodging that. LZ Gamer, of course, does have Dimensional Shift to make sure you can get out of anything weird and cheeky Caterpillar. All 5 heroics available here on both teams, so it's just kind of waiting for that big initiation on either side. A nice Primal Grasp, but not going to be enough. Lunar Flare, they're going for LZ Gamer. Is that the target they want to poly down onto Caterpillar? Starfall is doing a lot of zoning here. I mean, they're just kind of sitting in there taking a ton of damage, but the sustain is real. The Strafe is doing a lot of work. Cattle has to tap the wall. Spanker throws down that Lunar Flare, hitting 3 members, but still their health bars are very high.
Yeah, I think that was pretty smart. I mean, they chose an initiation. It didn't go the way they wanted it to, and they smartly backed up. Yes, they used a couple heroics, so they committed to it, but it was good communication on their part to get the entire team back out of the situation. Had they pressed forward, they would have lost, hands down. It wasn't going very well for them, so smart on them to just recognize the situation and back up.
And they've actually managed to take both of the shrines at this point in time. And if they're able to get a kill here on Idra, that would be huge. There's the combo, but Idra rightfully dodges it. We see the heals going down onto Atlanta here. Atlanta's going to back up. Does he summon his Ultralisk to try to help deal with this? We see the Odin going down. It's going to be some StarCraft 2 action right now because, I mean, this Odin is going to town, but where's the Ultralisk? Doesn't want to use it. Divine Storm still available. Hinterland Blast still available here, but they have lost their Uther.
Yeah, that's Uther seems to be the primary target for EG. Most of these team fights, they start up and then Uther gets blown up really fast, especially with the Odin present there. Some pretty good peeling just to make sure the Kerrigan didn't die, especially the Casticide that was thrown down there, but you know, it didn't end up being enough. And the Sentinel was so good there just to dodge. I mean, it stalls out for a little bit. I don't think they're going to be able to stop this Dragon Knight going down for EG, and yes, they do cap it. At the very least, they're going to get this mid fort, and if they choose to press forward to take a keep, if they secure a kill on the way, yeah, they can absolutely do it.
Yeah, so just some really safe, calm, collected play. EG, they're up 2 Dragon Knights, they're up 3 kills. I mean, it's looking really good for them, and this is going to be, they're up 2 forts now. So, I mean, everything is in their favor at this point in time, but they need to be careful here. It was a nice attempt for the Lunar Flare, but doesn't actually happen to catch anything. And this Dragon Knight has 40 seconds left and a pretty much full health bar.
Yeah, and it looks like they're taking just the chip damage sort of approach here. They're going to rotate up to this top 4 here, make sure they get this kill. This should be no problem for them to take. If they wanted to be a bit more aggressive, they could have gone for one of the keeps, but this is fine too. Again, I mean, they've been playing very safe the entire game, so they're going to continue to go with that strategy. DPS actually gets a pretty good lockdown here.
Yeah, a nice Howling Blast for the lockdown there, and we see Starfall going off, but it's not really enough to peel them back. Caterpillar gets that Casticide right before the Polymorph goes off, and he just retreats his way back on home. That's a full disengage, and EG does not want to push on that Bridge of Death.
Yeah, no, that's very understandable. It's very tight quarters, and you know, any type, especially with Tyrael judgmenting in, that can catch somebody out of position, zone them up from the rest of the team. Scary situation to be in, so I can absolutely understand why they wouldn't want to push in that particular area. So they settle for the 2 forts capped from this Dragon Knight here, and they do have a very sizable structure advantage here, and that can turn, you know, with a single team fight. But EG's looking pretty strong right now.
Yeah, EG grabbing their Giants here on the other half. We have Murlocs Inc. grabbing some Bruisers, and then it looks like EG's going to be grabbing their Bruisers as well. So right now it's just kind of a changing of hands and turning around the map, grabbing their Mercenaries. Yep. But this is actually a cheeky play by Clown, soloing these Bruisers right now.
Yeah, it looks as though EG isn't particularly aware of this. I mean, they might be able to guess that he's down there, but having seen that those Bruisers were just taken, they've probably thought they had a little bit more time to try and contest this. We're going to see the rest of Murlocs Inc. try to sort of zone out EG, giving Clown some time to cap that Murloc camp. I mean, Murloc camp, mercenary camp. Murloc's cap.
Someday we'll have a Murloc map. Someday
know,
we'll have
right?
Murlocs in space.
Exciting to think about.
Let's make that a map. Space Murlocs. So they're cleaning up all this stuff here. Ooh, Headway delivering 3 packages and level 16 talents. Let's take a look at those.
Yes, absolutely. So as you would expect to see, especially with the Gathering Power, we have the Overdrive at level 16 for Clown and his Falstad that's going to power up that Hinterland
But this
Blast.
big party bush is here. They find ZPs, but the Lunar Flare actually misses. They use so many abilities and just kind of waste them. We see the Army of the Dead goes down, and that's a lot of aggression out of ZPs. We see Murlocs actually opting to retreat out of this. They have everything. Starfall is used. This means they're here to fight. Atlanta, though, where's the Ultralisk? I don't think he's used it yet this game. I actually don't think I've seen it.
He used it once in the very first team fight that happened, but I mean, he does have battle momentum too, so I'm not really quite sure why he's opting not to use it a little bit more liberally, at least.
Yeah.
The cooldown is, you know, it's pretty heavy. It's 80 seconds, but not the worst cooldown. I mean, you can get that back pretty quickly. I think when in doubt, you know, especially if that type of team fight, at least to get your team back and out of the situation, if you're choosing to retreat, why not throw the Ultras down just to get in the way?
Well, Atlanta is going on in here. He gets the full combo on LZ Gamer, who takes a lot of damage there, but he's just going to go into his dimensional shift and heal himself up. There's the Ultra we were talking about. Strafe going down. Equinox gets out of that polymorph and start healing up his team. Ultra is focused out as they back up. That's the problem with Ultra. I guess, you know, that's why he's doing it liberally. Trying to find a situation where it's going to get full efficiency, and it's taken care of pretty easily there.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so we once again see the team sort of disengaging. 15-minute game, 3 kills. Probably the lowest kill count game I've ever casted, given the amount of time that it's been.
At least lately, yeah. In the current meta, it's definitely a very low kill game. And
the teams are just not super committing to any kind of play. Both very passive approaches to how they want to deal with the objectives on the map, etc. So I mean, but if things continue to go the way they are, EG probably will edge out a victory here.
All
We
right,
see
they're
the
going
dive
for
in.
Kawhi Rice. We have the full combo, and that's what they needed. That's what they wanted this whole time. So Kawhi Rice immediately removed from the fight, but Equinox taking a lot of damage. Both healers are dead. Now, the Ghost form is going to be around for a little while here. We see the heal going out. Starfall in that close choke point, just going to be doing a bit of damage, but they are in full-on retreat. Heroics, everything is on cooldown for Murlocs Inc., and EG has everything available.
Yeah, with the exception of Odin, of course, and Brightwing is going to be unable to cast anything because she is dead. But
there goes a
wow.
big Lunar Flare from the Primal Grasp. A very nice play. Strafe doing a lot of damage to Caterpillar. Does he have the sustain to stay alive here? Backing Faye up just enough to keep Atlanta and Caterpillar barely alive. I mean, it went from
the snap call.
From 3-0 to 3-4 right now, so the game is equalizing a little bit here. In this Dragonite, there's actually an opportunity for Murlocs Inc. to grab it.
Yeah, Clown, I was going to say, absolutely should fly top, and then they should just send the rest of their heroes mid to just try and contest a Faye there in the middle, just to make sure that they can get this Dragonite. That'll be a big push for them. We're 15 minutes in, and they will be able to get a couple forts out of this if they want. That will help to equalize the experience advantage that EG has.
And Atlanta has picked up the Dragonite, so here is the first Dragonite of the game for Murlocs Inc. They're trying to get some aggression on. They are down about a level here, but taking out these forts, or taking out the towers and potentially a fort, is really going to help them out in the experience.
Yes, absolutely. And at this point, it's probably just going to be a race to 20 between the two teams here. If one manages to get a sizable timing advantage in that situation, they may choose to pick a fight. In that situation, you do get quite the power boost at level 20, especially for heroes like Uther, for Tyrael. You know, you get that extra range on your judgment. So it becomes a lot scarier. The initiation can come out of nowhere if you're not paying attention. So absolutely something that Murlocs Inc. would like to get to a little bit faster than EG.
Yep, we just see a lot of damage going out. Every heroic is available for both teams, so the fight is pretty much imminent here if they keep this aggression on. EG is looking for that opportunity window, but until the Dragonite falls, they're not going to be taking it. With it down, though, they could be turning around here and trying to make something happen, but Murlocs Inc. on the defensive, falling on back. Yep.
You know, once again, pretty passive play, only getting that one fort out of this. I like them picking up these giants here, just on the way back. They sort of had the positional advantage in that situation, and they are going to rotate down and probably take this bottom Bruisers camp, but I mean, EG is going to be well aware of this situation. They saw the whole team rotate down. What else could they be doing, right? So whether they choose to pick a fight here, I'll be curious to see.
LZ's looking, and yeah, Murlocs Inc. is backing on up.
Yeah.
They've realized the situation is a risky one, and it's not worth throwing away a team fight. Of course, you can be collapsed on here, and with the amount of firepower they have, like, a protected strafe can do way too much in that kind of scenario, especially in Odin.
So Caterpillar had a lot of success diving in on Kawhi Rice in that last team fight. I imagine they're going to try to do that again. So EG, if they're smart, they're going to try to keep Kawhi as far back as possible. I realize that Brightwing needs to be next to the targets to get as much effectiveness out of the healing, but you've got to keep them alive too, right? And that's going to be the primary target.
Level 20 about to be achieved by EG. Murlocs Inc. is a little bit further behind here. Grabbing these Knights is going to help a little bit here, but 20 has been picked up, and we can take a look at the talents.
Yep. And we do have the Bolt of the Storm for Vala. That makes a lot of sense, especially when you go straight. That just sort of keeps you safe when you're going to be a primary target to get interrupted there. We have the upgraded Archon and the big red button for Odin. That's just going to help them in their team fights. Of course, Kawhi Rice has opted to go for Storm Shield. That's going to be that extra group sustain. And then Legion of Northrend for that extra sustain on Arthas as well. So no huge game changers there. Quite a bit more DPS will be coming out of Tassadar. But other than that, I think there's going to be a lot more of a power boost coming out of Murlocs Inc. at level 20.
So close to 20, and Tyrael almost got the steal there, but he realized it was kind of a risky scenario, so they back on up, giving up those giants. Not a big loss, 20 almost here. If they had managed to hit 20, they probably would have took that fight. They were in position for it. They were thinking about it. The Falstead's in this top lane, cleaning up these knights, soaking, and the shrines have spawned. But meanwhile, EG is grabbing these bruisers, completely safe right now, and they're going to be taking this bottom shrine.
Yeah, so absolutely. I'm looking at the level 20 talents that were picked up for Murlocs Inc. here, and we have like the upgraded damage and range on Hinterland's Blast. We have the extra range on Judgment, extra range on Divine Storm. That's now Divine Hurricane, and we have extra damage coming out of the Starfall as well. So they have a much bigger power spike at level 20 than what EG saw. So I think now they're going to probably turn the heat up a little bit. Murlocs Inc. Of course.
I would actually have to agree with that, but at the same time, I mean, they force pretty much a defensive play here with these bottom knights, making sure they rotate to defend this bottom lane here, keep these towers alive, and this is kind of just going to be, again, musical chairs, not magical chairs.
Magical chairs. What kind of magic do these chairs have?
Musical chairs. Brightwing, of course, has phase shift, so Kawaii Rice will be safely grabbing this shrine. That's going to give both shrines here to EG, but as I say, that Clown flies bottom.
Good call there.
He doesn't have epic flights. Something we have to consider. He has Call of the Wild Hammer. That's the upgrade here for Hinterland Blast to give 25% additional damage, which is going to help. Again, we're talking about the burst. They want to blow up that one target with Judgment, and there is the Judgment we're talking about. Lunar Flare does not actually connect, and the Hinterland Blast is completely whiffed.
That's a
That's
problem.
a big deal. We see Equinox getting very low. The Starfall is doing a lot of damage as well, but Caterpillar and Equinox are both in a horrendous position here. The shielding comes out from Tyrael, but he's going to fall to Vala, and Equinox dash forward there from Idra. Not going to be enough to pick up that kill, but Atlanta is in a really bad position as well. Bolt is used.
Bolt saves him. Yeah, that whole fight came down to whether or not Cloud was able to hit his target with that Hinterland's Blast. Now he's got to wait another 60 seconds before they can take that fight. They did lose Tyrael in the fight because, of course, he has to dive in super hard. I don't
look at this 1v1 fight. The phase shift coming here.
Oh, the healing ward.
Yeah,
with
late,
Brightwing coming in.
Late, yeah. So nicely done. Faye bolt in to take this tower. The top tower is actually going to be held by Clown to make sure they can't have a Dragonite. And nice play there. And we see Murlocs Inc. is going to be defending this top lane, but EG says, all right, you're not going to let us have a Dragonite. We have the hero advantage 5-3. Let's push in on this bottom team.
Yeah, absolutely. And they had pretty good guarantee that at least one of those 3 heroes was going to be top. So absolutely a very safe play for them to rotate down here and take this bottom keep. That's going to give them a huge push advantage in the bottom lane, especially if they try to, start pairing this up with Giants. Anytime they take a camp in this bottom lane, it has to be responded by Murlocs Inc. So EG will continue to make use of this bottom lane here just to continue to hold map control.
Okay, 10 seconds left on these Giants. I mean, this is looking pretty good for EG at this point in time, but a lot can happen in one team fight. So Murlocs Inc. isn't out of it yet. Grabbing these bottom Giants here. Kawaii Rice had the one bribe sack, but he's going to be fighting the other one all by his little lonesome self. That poor Fairy Dragon. But they're going for a big gank here in the bottom shrine. Cloud gets blown up almost instantaneously. Atlanta's in a bad spot. Divine Storm. Judgment comes in, but the Storm Shield is there to keep the heal up. That Ultralisk is not only zoning, but doing a decent amount of damage. But Atlanta gets out of there at the last possible second with Bolt of the Storm. Caterpillar is so far zoned out from the rest of his team, though, and oh my goodness, is the Ghoul going to get it? Just the tip of that. The Q out of the Odin is going to secure that kill, and this is horrible.
Yeah, this actually might be game if EG
with the Dragonite?
Yeah, I didn't even see that. That they got swooped up to pick that Dragonite there. It's a really big play. Yeah, I was going to say if EG missed one of his Qs onto the Kerrigan there, but he managed to land the other one. Just the very tip of it was able to land in on that false stat. So good play on that, and that should secure them this game, and they will be advancing on to play against Barrel Boys in round 2 of the losers bracket of Kings of the Storm 5.
Yeah, congrats to Evil Geniuses on their performance here, taking out Murlocs Inc. 2-1 here.
Yeah, that's a pretty big victory for them, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a newer squad for them, pulling in Kawhi pretty recently, and now picking up ZPs as well. Hey, I mean, they beat Murlocs Inc., which is a titan of a team.
Yeah, they've been having a lot of really good results lately, so it's pretty nice to see EG swinging back in, taking this victory, so good for them.
Very good stuff there. Well, guys, actually, we're just going to get right on ready here because we want to get going into round 2. So we're going to get ready for our game between Evil Geniuses and Barrel Boys that will be coming in just a few minutes. So stay with us. Back in a few.